and audio both clear from my side?
Yes, yes.
Thank, thank you so much for confirming this, ma'am. Hello, everyone. So, my name is Lovely Dwivedi. So, welcome to today's podcast session of Beyond the Classroom. So, I'm your host, Lovely, and today we are diving into a very important conversation. How can we reimagine assessment to focus on building skills, not just the grades? Joining us is Mrs. Anita Singh, Head of Curriculum Design at Ampersand Group, which powers VIBGYOR group of schools. So Anita ma'am has been instrumental in reshaping the way students experience in learning and assessments. Welcome to the show, Anita ma'am. We are really honored.
You?
And having with us is also a very great RCI registered clinical psychologist, Dr. Rishi Mishra sir, the owner of Connaissance Specialist, an organization that shapes young minds and generally provides guidance and counseling to the students. And
Right.
a new recently thing has also been added up. Profile building also has been one of the important part of the Connaissance Specialist. So, sir, welcome to this podcast session. And ma'am, really, we are really honored to have you on with us. So, if with your permission,
Okay.
sir and ma'am, can we begin with this beautiful morning?
Sure, please do.
Yes, please.
So, ma'am, I really would like to ask this question. Like, let, let's start with the big picture. Traditionally, assessments have been grade focused. In your view, what are the limitations of this approach?
Okay. So, if we look at the journey when we were learning, we have definitely seen that our success was very much defined by the grades we scored. It was not the true measure of a particular child, for example, but more about what he did on a particular day. Now, when we look at a child's performance and his abilities and capabilities of what he will shape up in future to be, grades, kind of offer a very, very narrow lens that way. So it's very, very important that we go beyond the grades and we kind of see and kind of provide opportunity to a child that he is able to showcase his understanding through various means and not just by written tests, which are testing his memory on a particular day. I have seen many such classic cases, I would say, where I've seen children speaking beautifully and explaining what they understand about a concept, how it can be applied. But on the fateful day of, giving the examination, they could not do very well. Either it was the examination stress, which is quite common these days in students, or it was because, they fail to articulate their understanding in a very good manner. Sometimes there are children who are a little lazy also when it comes to writing. Maybe they were sick, for example. So, because of these various reasons, sometimes grade oriented assessments fail to capture the true potential of a child. And if we look around and we see the best minds in the industry, we look at people like Steve Jobs, for example. We look at somebody, as Dhirubhai Ambani, for that matter. These are definitely not the, people who were the first rankers of their class when they were school children, right? So something that we get from there is that to be, a thinker, an innovator, maybe a scientist, a person who will solve problems and be a founder of a company, you don't need to be the top scorer. A person who is very good as far as rote memory is concerned, but somewhere lacks to, put it in real life scenario. Okay. So I think looking at this, there is definitely a lot of shift as far as the perspective is concerned from the education fraternity and the policy makers as well. And that is why we see there is a shift coming towards skill-based assessment. So that's my perspective. I think the lens of assessing a child's competency based on grades is a very, very narrow lens, and we should try to move away from there as much as possible.
Well, ma'am, that's such an important point. Grades often reflect the memory more than the mastery. And as you rightly said, real life success depends more on skills that or than marks written on the paper. That's really very sweet of you, ma'am. So now we are boarding on to next another question and really welcoming our lovely audience as well because many of you are joining us and it's such an insightful way to see you all joining. So now, ma'am, our second question on behalf of the audience is, when we talk about skill-based assessments, what exactly do we mean? Could you break it down for our listeners with a simple example, ma'am?
Now, so when we talk about skill-based assessments, we are talking about assessments which will test um, transfer of knowledge. When I say transfer of knowledge, I mean something that will test application of knowledge in real life context. Okay, this is not only going to, of course, limit in terms of retention, but it's going to provide an opportunity to a child to show how the concept can be applied, what are the various ways of expressing it also for that matter, and if I have to maybe talk about skill-based assessments with a broader lens, I can also say that, okay, these are assessments which are designed around competencies. So we know that, in English, for example, the key skills that, a teacher tries to develop is LSRW, we say, listening, speaking, reading, and writing, for example. Similarly, in math, we look at, or science, for example, we look at scientific inquiry. When we talk about social studies, we talk about source analysis, the ability to make connections. So these are the skills that must be tested. So when we create skill-based assessments, we don't test them on facts, on figures, on names, okay, or some piece of information. We test them on, how they can put it in a perspective, what they can infer, if they can draw connections, if they can draw comparisons, for example, and show the application of the concept in real life example. So in English, instead of asking the students to underline the tenses or maybe giving the meaning of particular word, synonym or antonym, for example, if we ask the students to write a letter, okay, sharing what they did on their holiday, or maybe asking them to write a persuasive essay for that matter, it will kind of provide an opportunity to the child to showcase his command on the concepts or grammatical concepts, I would say, in context. Okay, they will be able to show that, okay, they have audience awareness, they understand whether I'm writing a formal or informal letter. Considering the audience, I should use certain words, vocabulary in context. Okay, I will be using grammar for expression accordingly. I will be using the tone accordingly, for example. Similarly, in math, a skill-based assessment would be like asking children to maybe plan, the budget for a school event, an upcoming school event for that matter. And, so instead of checking their understanding and application of different concepts and silos, we can ask them to design a budget, as I said, which will not only test whether they can apply the arithmetic formulae that they have learned, but also multiple skills that they have kind of developed. Whether these are percentages, whether these are, I would say calculations, whether this is kind of drawing averages from there, any such kind of thing. Okay, and it also will kind of test their problem solving ability. So when we talk about skill-based assessments, it's, a kind of asking, instead of asking, I would say, what you know, to can you apply this knowledge to a real world scenario? That is the key difference here, I would say.
I love that example, ma'am, really.
Thank you.
How assessments can become the learning moments instead of just judgment moments. students actually grow through the process rather than the just waiting for a grade.
True. Very true.
And now, next question is with like often one concern schools often raise is the practicality. So, how can teachers balance skill focused assessments while still preparing students in board exams and standardized tests?
Okay, that's the classic problem that we have faced whenever we have gone to schools and spoken to principals, to teachers. This is common problem which is reported by them, where they say that it is good to hear, but it's very difficult to apply. Sometimes they report problems, where they say that okay, if we focus so much on skill, when do we prepare our students for examination? Okay, there are teachers who say that students can simply not perform. It's very difficult. If at all we make our, assessment skill based, our children get demotivated because they're not able to do well and things like that. Here, it's very important that as educators, we shift the focus. You know, if we say that the goal of our teaching learning practice is not to help our students only to pass grade 10 or pass grade 12 for that matter, or complete the syllabus, I think there is a shift in the mindset, and that's very important. It's very important that we kind of follow a very structured approach in that way. And when I say following a structured approach, I would like to emphasize here that it's important that as a leadership team, we plan, how we are going to achieve it, how we are going to plug it in our teaching learning practices. So there's a very good book for educators here. The name of the book is Understanding by Design. This particular book specially helps the teachers with a roadmap that when you are trying to make your teaching very skill focused, how do you plan for it? So it talks about identifying the desired goals in the first place, then identifying that, okay, what would count as a credible evidence of whether we have achieved the desired goal or not, and then plugging it in our planning, teaching, learning practices. Okay, so this particular approach is something that I would, highly recommend that teachers and principals apply when they plan right in the beginning, when they are sitting to plan their assessment structure, which is the broad planning of what the assessments would look like, because it's all about backward design. They should, at that point of time, kind of plan their assessment in such a way that the assessment structure itself provides them scope to have a balance of assessments, some which kind of align very much with the board requirement, the board pattern of questioning in terms of writing, and some which focus solely on the skill, testing. Okay, when I say skill testing, I mean the skills or the competencies identified for each subject. These can be through, a performance-based task. These can also be through some projects that you are planning, which is providing a child to integrate the learning. When it comes to teachers, it's very important that they embed it into their teaching right from day one. So it should not be so that, okay, on one fine day when I have to conduct the assessment, I am asking the skill-based question on that day. You know, if in English, my focus is to develop comprehension skills, I should ensure that when I am teaching, I'm not asking them memory based questions about what happened, who said to whom, who are the characters, etc. I ask them about what they infer from the story. Okay. What is something that they feel about the character, for example? What could be the purpose? And questions around that, for instance. Okay. When I embed it in my daily teaching learning pattern, questioning in the class, okay, or maybe as simple as something which is a recapitulation, okay, it brings in a kind of a change in the way the teacher is thinking, the children are thinking, and perceiving learning all as well. Besides that, of course, there can be periodic tests which incorporate the pattern of questioning. And also, as I said, that the broad assessment structure should have a focused, test, which is testing skills. If at any point of time it gets overwhelming, and this is also one of the classic mistakes that I have seen schools do, is that they say that, okay, the board or CBSE is saying continuous comprehensive evaluation, so there have to be many formative tests. Okay, your formative test can be as small as a recapitulation question, as I said. It can be an exit ticket. It can be a small MCQ. It can be a quiz that I'm doing for students, or it can be a kind of a self-evaluation that I'm doing. So they should plan it in that manner. At no point should it get overwhelming for the students or teachers. If it happens, it's going to lose essence. The students and teachers both will start seeing it as a task, something which is in a checklist and they would want to tick off their list, okay, and not something which is bringing a change in the way students are learning or teachers are teaching. So it has to be very well woven in their teaching learning practice, also in the macro picture, somewhere in the assessment structure, and the types of tests that they will conduct is something that I would say here.
Well, ma'am, absolutely agrees. Balance is the key because it reassures teachers and parents that skill based learning doesn't replace exams but rather complements them, giving students
Yes.
the best of both worlds. That really works. So, ma'am, with this segment, we are moving over to the next question. So, ma'am, do you really think integrating technology like digital portfolios, gamified quizzes, or project based tools can actually make assessments more meaningful?
Yeah, very much, I would say. And that's the way, that I would say most of the schools are adopting. And it's very, very transformative in terms of its impact on assessments, if I say. Now, technology can be embedded in various manners. I would say at the teacher level, as you pointed out, rightly pointed out, that yes, can quizzes, or other platforms like Padlet or Google Classrooms, which allow children to collaborate in the classroom in real time, will have an impact? The answer is definitely yes, because it is, if you look at quizzes as a platform, also, if I take that as an example, it's very, very engaging for the students, right? Students love the platform. It is very quick. There is no exam pressure. They feel as if they are playing a game. And when it comes to for the teachers also, they get the result, or I would say the output immediately. They get to know exactly which child stands where. Okay, what are the areas where a particular child needs to, revisit, or he needs to be taught again, for example. So the metrics is also very immediately, available. At the same time, when it comes to students, they feel that they are playing a game. So things like quizzes, of course, are transforming the way assessments can happen, definitely. There are various advantages to incorporating technology in assessments, I would say. One is that for the teachers, it provides scalability. They prepare the test once, put it on a particular platform, which is, allowing them to make it like a quiz. For example, it could be either, I would say, Mentimeter, or it could be quizzes, or any other platform. It could be a school CRP also. But it kind of gives that power, the tool to the teacher where she can, ensure a high reusability of the test that she has created. So what she has created doesn't go waste, It is very, very much available for customizing further for a different section, for a different audience, providing her the ability to differentiate if at all a different section requires it, for example. So it gives a lot of power to the teacher that way, and the results are immediately available. Similarly, for the schools, I would say it can bring a transformative change if they see it a little differently. So they should definitely consider technology, which makes the life of the teacher, easy. It becomes a partner in a manner where data is available to her on the click of a button. Assessments should not be limited, of course, to only quizzes. For example, if she is conducting a test, which is an MCQ test, the school should consider having things which are, OMR based, and assessments can happen using OMR sheets so that the result analysis is very quick based on that. So here what happens is that you move from a format where you're only conducting a test, but also providing and helping teacher with necessary data, which will inform her instruction further. Okay, it will empower her with exact picture of where her students stand. So I feel for different stakeholders, technology has a different role to play. It should be utilized not like one shiny tool, but should be utilized to inform instruction, to add value, to ease the workload of teacher, and aid further learning and enhancement in teaching learning output is something that I would say.
So, ma'am, before complimenting with this answer, because it was really very beautiful and insightful, here is here from on behalf of our audience, Dr. Rishi Mishra sir, and ma'am, on your behalf as well, we would like to welcome Professor Dr. Tosendra Dwivedi sir and Kanchan ma'am to this marvelous e- morning session. Sir, please welcome to our podcast session. We are really
Thank you,
enlightened
thank
that you have
you,
joined us.
thank you. Very enlightening. And ma'am is talking about wonderful tools like Google platform, use of AI, LMS, and I'm listening. I'm learning from ma'am. Please continue. Thank you so much. I'm on. I'm listening and very spirited talk. Please go on, lovely ji. Thank you for the
Yes, so
welcome.
much.
Namaste, sir. Namaste, ma'am, and namaste, Rishi ji and all team. Namaste. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, sir. Welcome.
And Kanchan ma'am, also, we are really enlightened that you have joined us on a podcast session, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining me, ma'am. Ma'am, that was really an insightful answer because absolutely, yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you so much for welcoming me, ma'am. It was really insightful. Rishi, thank you for. We go a long way back, and I'm glad that I could join this session today. Thank you for this. I'm somebody who's also trying to bridge this gap and helping students get into skill building programs. So this is wonderful to know if this can be incorporated in the school assessment systems and how you can bring that about. That's really insightful, ma'am. Thank you for the wonderful talk.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well,
Yeah.
ma'am, it's our honor. Thank you so much, ma'am, and sir, for joining us. So, ma'am, absolutely. And kids today are digital natives. So, meeting up them in their space through technology not only makes learning fun, but also keep it relevant to the world they are growing into.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true.
And
Very true.
we, yes, ma'am, ma'am, and we have seen parents are often deeply invested in grades. How can
Mm.
schools and educators bring them on board to value their skills over the marks? That's a very
Okay.
relatable question, ma'am.
Yeah. Again, so something that we have kind of encountered, I would say, okay, and rightfully so. If I say so, every parent wants the best for their child, and this is something that I would say is a shared vision of every school. Every school wants to ensure that their parents, their students are doing well, and the parents also want the same. What happens generally in this journey is that the parents keep thinking largely about the grades, whether my child is scoring the highest percentage or not, whether he will get admission in the best college or university or not. And here it becomes somewhere a responsibility, I would say, school to ensure that the parents are very well informed, and they are aware about the big picture. When I say about the big picture, I talk about bringing this awareness that today skills are something which are required not only in the school. It is not only something which is a goal of the school, but also something which is very relevant in the real life outside. So whether you are seeking admission in a good university, or we are preparing the children for future employment, it's very, very important that they are able to communicate, they are able to collaborate, they are able to innovate, they are able to solve problems, which are very much embedded in real life. So when you share this particular insight, when you try to bring in, I would say, a kind of a buy-in from the parents, the journey becomes a little easy. When you show them the bigger picture, when you show them that this is the goal and this is how our school is preparing your child to head in that direction. When I say this, I also mean that, the schools share a very clear roadmap with the parents. So when you do that, there is a larger buy-in because they understand how it will impact their child. They also understand, how it will prepare the child eventually. What steps is the school taking to prepare their children to do well on their examinations as well. So, when you do this, one of the steps that we have taken so far in our schools to ensure that there is a buy-in from the parents is also by conducting workshops for them. So we do parent orientations. Sorry. Okay. So we do parent orientations. I'm sorry, I could not hear you. Okay. So I'll carry on. Okay. Can the admin please put the listener on the mute? Yeah, I'll continue with what I was saying. So I was saying that right in the beginning of the year, we generally do parent orientations. It helps us to share that big picture with the parents. During the year, we also do some small sessions with them, which kind of helps parents to understand what these competencies are and how they can partner, with the school in this journey. So in smaller, I would say, grades, when children are learning about phonics, for example, this is something that most of the schools also do these days, is doing sessions for phonics, phonic awareness. What happens is when children, are learning and parents also speak the same way, there is a reinforcement which is happening at home. Both the school and the parent are talking the same language. It makes it easier, for the child. At the same time, it also makes it easier for the parent and the teacher as well. And NEP is all about that, right? They're talking about having parents as important partners. So it's very, very important now that we kind of involve them as much as possible. You know, and communication here plays a very, very important role. So if at all schools can devise ways of communicating a bigger picture, the skills that they are trying to develop, for example, how they are preparing their children for life and for the skill-oriented future, it becomes easy and there is higher acceptability, is something that I would say. Here, student-led conferences also play a very good role. So it's something that we have observed works. When students demonstrate their understanding or maybe, lead the parent-teacher meetings, parents see how transformative their learning has been. They take pride in the fact that, okay, my child was standing and explaining it to other parents. They take pride in the fact that, okay, my child was handling the entire event, for example. So student-led conferences are also a very important and powerful tool that must be employed by the schools in this manner, where they can showcase the skills in action also, for that matter. Okay, so somewhere, communication is a very, very important tool. The school should not fall less on this particular aspect. If parents value what the schools are doing, they will definitely become partners in this entire journey. And, both have the common, and as I said earlier, that they have a shared vision. Okay. They will take the child very harmoniously towards the required goal, for that matter.
Well, ma'am, that's so true. Once parents see evidence of growth, like how confidently their child presents, solves problems, or collaborates, they start valuing those skills as much, if not more, than the percentage on a report card. So,
True.
ma'am,
True.
And to our lovely audience, we would really like to take a very short 2 minute, a very quick and short break. We'll be just, please don't go anywhere. We'll be just going and just coming back. So please stay connected with us. We are just continuing after a short minutes of 2 minute of break. So we'll be right back. Please don't go anywhere. Please, everyone, humbly requesting you, please do join us because we really don't want to miss this insightful session of Anita ma'am. And since you're getting such a lovely opportunity, so please grab that opportunity. Please don't go anywhere, just coming after 2 minutes. So thank you so much.